welcome to Finding Your Mojo. And as part of the Fireside Chats, we have Sachin Shah of Emkay. Sachin, hi. Good talking to you today. Sachin, now I just want to help talk to you about all these conversations about financial freedom, financial independence. I know a lot of this is a reality in the West, but is it even valid or is it even possible to have financial freedom maybe in your mid 40s or early 40s in this part of the world?
Yeah, hi Amina. Thank you so much. Really happy to be on your show. So I like the way you put it, the financial freedom. Frankly, that sounds like a very great thing. It's like one of those privileges. Uh, and you also mentioned that it's something in the West, but I'm not sure it's really a financial freedom in the West. It's more about their ecosystem, which allows them to have that kind of confidence that they will take care of, that the ecosystem will take care of them over a longer period of time. But coming back to our country, financial freedom can be achieved in many ways. One of the big the way the people actually plan it is that you got to plan your play and then you got to play your plan, right? And when I say that you play your plan is basically because when you say that you want financial freedom, it effectively means that you do not want to work for money. You will just work to work, but money is not the reason why you want to work or you have to work, right? So for that, obviously you have to create a huge bank balance or a huge a lot of assets which will help you earn a lot of income over a longer period of time, so that takes care of your day-to-day routine expenses and whatever you spend on. Now, suppose if somebody is today in early 20s and they plan that I want to retire after next 20 years. So say they have a 20-year working life. Now in this 20 years, they do not have to only spend for those 20 years the current lifestyle, but they will also have to save for the next 30 years, assuming an average expectancy of 70 or 75 years at least. So the next 35 years where they will not be earning anything at all from their active income. They will be entirely earning from their passive income. So when we talk about this passive income, it's all about your savings working for you. As they say, somebody very nicely mentioned to me once that rich don't work for money. The money works for rich, right? So the important thing is that in the 40s you got to become rich. That's one of the most important things, because unlike the western parts of the world, a country like India doesn't have a very strong ecosystem in terms of supporting your healthcare, supporting your students, your children education, and those kind of multiple things. So one will have to create a very, very heavy asset by the time they are in their mid 40s or late 40s to basically have a passive income beyond that.
Sachin, that's a very interesting point. And I know we keep talking about it. Create multiple flows of income, make your money work for you. Money never sleeps. All of that sounds great in principle. But it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, right? You can create multiple streams of income once you have the income to add those streams of income. In your 20s, when you're for most people, you're living hand to mouth, right? You're living frugally, not because you want to, but because you don't have much of a choice. How do you go about creating that asset net? How do you go about creating a contingency fund when in the early days you're hardly really making too much money, right?
No, I completely agree with you. So, say the first 5-7 years, in fact, you will be earning, which will not even take care of your probably living costs, right? You'll barely meeting your living cost. Then as soon as you start making some decent money, you will have aspirations of having a better car, then a better house, then a better foreign vacation, every year a foreign vacation. So your expenses will actually, probably grow faster than your income with a lot of people. But, I have observed with a lot of colleagues around me in multiple industries, people who have excelled in their work. Okay, and there are a lot of them, and today the way India's opportunity is exploding, there are a lot of them in that probably you can say 7-digit and 8-digit salaries. Okay, and I'm talking And I'm not even talking about you investing and making money or you starting your own business. I'm talking about pure guys who are professionals, who have that 7-digit, 8-digit salaries. But these are guys who are really excelled in their fields, and maybe after 10 or 12 years of their first 10 or 12 years of experience, they actually get to the next leap. And I mean, I don't want to give an advice here. I can just say one of my observations. This is with people who are not really taking up jobs at the beginning of their career looking at the pay packets, but they are going into jobs which they believe that over a longer period of time has a very good future, which also suits their profile. Because what happens is that first 3-4 years you may earn a little lower than the mean salaries or the mean income of your peer set, but the point, because you've done so well in that particular area and because you also love doing it, it gives you an exponential jump, right? So my suggestion is to guys who are in early 20s, the first thought is that pick up jobs, pick up your work profile, something that you are happy about, something that you believe you can excel in the next 10-15 years, because the opportunity is going to be there. Just don't pick up a job because in the management college that was giving you the highest placement salary or that kind of thing. That was first thing. Second very important trend compared to the last probably 1 or 2 generations is that into most of the couples, both the people are working. So as they really call the dink couples, the double income, no kids. I mean, a lot of them have kids, typically have much later in life compared to the previous generations, right? So at least they can plan that one person's income they can actually spend on the lifestyle, and the other person's income they can actually think of saving. And not only saving but rightly investing, because unless you will be able to grow it rightly, it's going to be very difficult to create a large passive income so early in life, which is by late 40s.
And very valid what you mentioned there, Sachin. Also, I think while you can follow your passion and have a good vision in mind, so you know what is actually going to do well in the future. I think the other thing is this enterprising, spirit, or the entrepreneur spirit that a lot of youngsters are now exhibiting. If you look at the list of the wealthiest people in the world, most of them are entrepreneurs, right? And I think that's where again, it's coming from the West, but that's where the motivation and the incentive comes from. What is your advice to youngsters who want to become entrepreneurs? They may not be in high-strung 9-to-5 jobs, but what should they do? Should they consider it? Should they not? Should they wait it out till they're much older? What do you advise them to do?
So, let's look at a couple of examples in India itself. Like, say, one of the most successful examples, say, Mr. Narayan Murthy of India, right? When he he was used to work with Patni Computers in his early part of his career, and his wife, Sudha Murthy, I believe was working with Tata Motors or one of those firms, right? And Mr. Narayan Murthy really wanted to start his own enterprise. So, they actually kind of made a pact that Ms. Sudha Murthy will continue to be in the professional life and Mr. Narayan Murthy will take an enterprise, right? So that's how they kind of balanced it.
Right.
So one will have to find that balance. But I completely agree with you. The kind of the opportunities that today's world is offering, it does make a lot of sense to jump into the bandwagon of enterprises and venture capital and those kind of things. But my only suggestion is please plan your play. Just don't go on big thoughts. Do plan your play and then play your plan. And please also have plan B and plan C in place.
Right, Sachin, the other aspect of financial freedom is not having any debt. And we keep reiterating time and again that, eliminate your liabilities, right? Now, the interesting part about this 20-something generation is they may not want to buy a home, but they'll have very sort of large credit card bills. They do want an international holiday while they don't want to buy a home in the places they live, right? They may not buy a car, but they'll spend on a meal. So, of course, it's aspirational living, but at the same time frugal, because they're not investing in assets that may or may not be something that they're looking for doing. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this? Is that okay? Is that the right way to live? And if it is the right way to live, then I guess what is the best way to sort of make investments when you live in that sort of a way?
See, honestly, it's very right. I would like to say that let's be very clear how much you are earning, how much you are spending, how much you are saving, right? As long as those matrices have been taken care of, then after that, where you spend is every individual's own choice, right? Whether you, because to my mind, buying a car is not actually an asset, it is consumption. So whether you buy a car or you rent an Uber instead of going into a, in the trains, that's your choice, but that's consumption. At the end of it, what are you saving at the end of every month, at the end of every quarter, at the end of every year, and how you are planning to grow those savings? Because trust me, it's savings is only maybe 20-30% of the job. The 70% of the job is how you grow them.
And how do you grow them, Sachin?
So, one will have to really plan themselves. That's point one. And what the planning, when I mean is, say for example, if you are in 30s, because that's when you will really start making some decent savings. Till 20 to 30, as I said, you will not have too much of savings. It's around 30s, late 20s, early 30s when you will have some decent savings. So there's a general thumb rule that 100 minus your age, that much percentage should be at least in equities as an asset class, right? Because equities as an asset class over a very long period of time, which is 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, have always outperformed other asset classes. So one will have to definitely take that plunge into equity as an asset class is what I believe. That's one part. But again, equities have also been known to, a lot of people have lost huge amounts of sums there, right? So one will have to be prudent, like as much research they do when they want to go out for a nice restaurant or for a foreign vacation, they at least do half the research on where to invest in equities.
Right. And when you invest in equities, Sachin, what is the route you advise? So if assuming you've got to invest 70% of your money in equities, if you're at the age of 30, would that 70% be in mutual funds? Because I'm assuming for most of these people, the investment is really passive. Or do you think exposure to direct equities where the big pots of money are going to come from?
Well, I wouldn't say that that's where the big pot of money is going to come from. I would say definitely they should start with mutual funds. That's point one. But after investing in mutual funds, they shouldn't just go to sleep. They should really understand what are mutual funds doing, because finally mutual funds at the end of the day are investing in direct equity on your behalf. The underlying asset is direct equity. Why did a particular mutual fund do well? Why did they not do well? What are the characteristics behind it? They should really understand, because why I'm saying this is, this will really help them make a plan for themselves to go direct equity investing. Because let's be very clear that assuming that even when they are in their late 40s, they have a large sums of money which they believe will take care of their passive income. But even beyond that, that money has to grow for them to survive and have a nice happy life, right? So that money, again, they will have to be very sure how they invest. And from 30 to 40s is the training period on how does one invest. That is the time they should utilize to learn from others who are, like as they very nicely say, either you should be smart, and if you're not smart, learn from the smart.
Right. You bring that point up, and that's very valid. Equities is the way to go. But if you look at the historic returns, the CAGR of equities on a 10-15 year horizon is not more than 10-12%. So it's not really gone out and made those exceptional returns. This is a country like India where inflation is also quite high. So while in principle all of this sounds the right thing to do, in reality it's actually failed a lot of people, right?
So, okay, so you're right and wrong. Okay, on a last 10-year basis, equities have delivered 12% or 12.5 to 13% compounded return. In this 10 years, the inflation has been just about mid-single digits. Okay, so let's be again very clear. And again, second thing, that on a 15-year basis, the returns have been better. Okay, they would be closer to 15% compounded. That's point two. But we have to always understand that the returns on a standalone basis is never a number. It's always relative to what is the risk-free rate. So the point I'm trying to make is, 15 years back, the bank fixed deposits were at about 8 to 10%. That's when you got equities at about 15%. Last 5 to 7 years, the bank fixed deposit come down to from 7% to now 5%. So whatever that number the realistic expectation will be 2 times of that. So if that is 6% today on an average, you can't expect more than 12% also. But that's good enough. I mean, that's the best you have.
Right. Also, very lastly, Sachin, we're running out of time, but a lot of us aspire to spend half a year on a beach. COVID has made that a possibility for a lot of people, but even going back to post-COVID, right? How does one achieve this? 6 months in Goa, 6 months in Bombay, if that could ever be a reality. Any sort of advice, any sort of investments that one should do?
So, no. So the best thing is that now, because all the bosses know that you can work from anywhere. I'm not even saying work from home. Now it's actually become work from anywhere. So when you are in Goa, take your work there along with you. Work from Goa. Don't tell your boss you're in Goa. Just tell him you're somewhere else and work.
Right. I think that's the only way to achieve that dream for now. Well, thank you, Sachin. Good talking to
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day. Thanks a ton.